could sign it for you. If you wanted to, you could also buy it from Finishing Line Press. But I think a lot of us really like to have autographs. So Terri, what is the best way to reach out to you?
I can definitely autograph it, and I guess the best way would be to just email me.
Okay, email. Would you like me to put your email address in? Do I have access to that right away? Let me see if I can find your email. You know, at some point, if you would put your email account in the chat section, and that way people have access to it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Or
so if you did
here.
Want to order directly from Terri and get an autograph, please do so. And she's putting in her email address in the chat section. We usually have a pretty active chat section, so feel free to put things there. A lot of times there's a phrase or a word in a poem that I really want to make sure that I say something to the author, or that I just feel so passionate about that I'll put it in the chat section. So feel free, yeah, active chat, we're all down for that. Thank you, Terri. So her email account is in the chat section. And so reach out to her, and it's great to give poetry as a, you know, as a gift to your reader friends. That's something I have collected a lot of books. I was thinking about stacking them at some point, what I've gotten over the pandemic, because it's a lot. So we're going to go directly to Terri, and I'm sure most of y'all know this, but she's also a visual artist, and she was a finalist in Press 53 contest open awards, and has won lots of awards, has been nominated for Pushcarts and Best of the Nets. You have likely seen some of her work. And she won first place out of 600 entries in the South Carolina Poetry Initiative. So yeah, thanks, Terri. Terri said to everybody, thank you for being here. You are going to be spotlight now, and I am coming to mute myself. There you go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Is that okay? Okay. It's so nice of you to show up this evening. I really, 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 really appreciate it. It really does mean a lot to me. And this year has been very challenging, I think, for everyone. And it's kind of, has had a lot of opposites, some really wonderful things, and then some not so wonderful things. And I finally decided I really wanted the Buttes, the book, to come out this year, because it was such an unusual, challenging year. And I felt like it called for me to be braver and to really push something that I thought was very important to me. And to share it and try to encourage others who are also writers and visual artists, because I do a lot of referring to visual art, yes. It's called The Buttes because it, to me, focuses on what is beautiful and all the different definitions of beauty, as well as more traditional definitions of being a fine example of something or an outstanding person, but many things can be beautiful. So what I'd like to do this evening, and again, so appreciate you coming, is read a few poems. If you have already ordered the book and you do not have it yet, that is because it has been delayed by a few weeks. So it should be okay. This is the cover. So it does exist, and I'm going to be reading these little pages, but don't worry. Okay. I'll also also, I really, really, really wish you would all consider doing the open mic, because I would love to hear you as well. But, okay. Several of my poems are going to refer to nature as a point of beauty. Oh. And birds in particular also. This one, which was published in Emrys, is called Flew. The bird is stunning. I mean, stunned. Can fired up seem new today in fall heat? The windows are spotless. I fertilized the yard last week, too much in places, unconscious anagram seared in grass to mean. I prod the bird round as a toddler, still as a finial, on the porch corner, certain it is unroosted, injured, past saving. It flies in my face, defies all sense this time, leaves me speechless and burning. Hearing the listeners, and this is very specifically an ekphrastic poem, so I refer specifically to an artwork. And what's kind of interesting, especially considering this year, is I started thinking about the mixing of spaces and thinking of inside and outside. Since we've been kind of quarantined, and to think of outside as more freedom or lighter. So this mixture of the frame and the mixing of what's here and what's inside the frame are actually like out a window. Hearing the listeners after a painting by Bo Bartlett. The one-eyed twilight sky focuses tight on the three. Blind, they sit boated in weedy water, divining for sound. We keep distance, our vantage dry, planted on the gallery floor, cup our ears to tunnel white noise, to hear whatever these three two-dimensional men think they will find audible now. The weeds part in a V shape, revealing us eavesdroppers. We whisper about colors. As we turn, I see the sky lighten. I catch the ripple. And I was thinking of trying to be a little bit lighter this evening, but this one does have some seriousness about it. And it's about two birds I actually found that had flown into a glass window. Making light. To fly into glass, your image growing, until you meet up with the exact you, and smack is an unsettling vision. 2 feet away from the warbler, I spot the woodpecker, both the same near softness, the same broken necks. The woodpecker's wings are like the striated skirts of a Spanish dancer. The graphic black and white, dizzying pop art. I am blinded by the sun, but move the two birds together, breast to full pumped up breast, until I see them as two halves of a heart and wonder if I make too light of the matter. I debated this poem, and I'm still debating it. But I'm going to read it because it is very different. It is also an ekphrastic poem. And it's called Interpreting Damage to a Huguenot Church Documentary Photo. I was fortunate enough to have it was included in this anthology by USC Press. This is the actual photograph. Oh, I don't know if people can see. Yes. And what attracted me is it's different than most of the photos that were included from the South Carolina Library. And what I liked about it is that the negative is damaged or was damaged. So it creates this image. But what is so fascinating also is that it was kept. So, and then printed, and it's archived. I mean, I just think that's fascinating. And I was so excited about the different shapes that it seems to make. Then it also made me think about what is a church, the people who are in the church, the furniture in the church, and the whole idea of spirituality and coming together. So here is the poem. See the seemingly seared contact sheet, you a seer, please. A bystander, by and by. The photographer's intent from 1880. No, a grand designer's plan for this age reveals created work my eyes lit upon. Make of this church what you will. Imagine emulsion that is perfect for right now. Press your fingers on closed eyelids, lightly on the cornea. The mind's eye creates fractals or orbs in outer space. The scanned image, how far removed of the damaged print, is a miracle, a magic mirror to reflect on, see beyond broken glass, fatigued plane. I repeat myself, yes? Eschered shapes, what is safe? To the snake's head to the left, winged negative areas, scattered black grackles, or flushed out coveys. Enlarge and trace the crackling. Calligraphy between dried mud tracks, crazed lines in the abstract. Focus down to a hornet's nest, aroused bees, or a dervish. But no fear, they are contained here. See beneath time to the concrete, the pews, the wood, books, and the chandelier. Still, I can't resist the altar organ pipes as a monarch's crown and what has become collaborative, a mosaic overlay of spiraled souls. Oh, thanks. That's so sweet. That one's a little bit different. Oops, where are we on time? Okay. Then I wanted to read this one that is actually called The Light. And I love light, and probably most of us do. Outdoor light, reflections, creating shadows. So I'll read. The epigraph is from the photographer Matthew Rolston. We're hardwired as humans to love light. Is it because it lulls around us, creates a natural freeze, breaks through shadows and blinds to imprint designs, sometimes in the loveliest of places, across the eyes, the plump of the lip? What is next to is dark. Is it the heat or the illumination? These are fair. I wonder if we know all our lives we are trying to bribe a savior. We have looked the other way when we heard go toward the light. We would rather be in the dark on that one. The invention of fire was brilliant. Splices of light, like cut collage papers or broken mirror pieces that can flatter or warm, show us to infinity. I see the light at the back of your throat, the uvula, your tongue a train in the tunnel. Yes, my leitmotif is beauty, beauty at every end. Is everyone okay? This was featured in the Poetry Society's annual yearbook. And the genesis for it is from our dog that was a border collie mix. And she was wonderful to walk around because she liked to kind of prance around and was very energetic. And this is about just walking. I do play with the word heel, H-E-E-L, as well as H-E-A-L. God backwards. Heel to the dog, like heel to toe, or Achilles. But I hear heel, heel, like a salve, like digging out a splinter. Her legs like quick matchsticks that don't strike, under tufts of fur, and she obeys for a time the small collie mutt that calls to mind fields of open space with sheep she can chase, where I stand as herder. I have heard the call as I heel, heel, step faster to keep up with her to her border balance beam prance, and I smile, not yet out of breath, as she smiles over her shoulder, shakes the collar, and heeds Major's call in another's yard, while I wince in joy. This next poem was inspired by a friend who is a painter, and a very wonderful draftsman and very meticulous and a very talented person. And the whole idea is very interesting to me of trying to make something so realistic that it seemed, I mean, it could seem real. So the idea of reality and artifice, and the artist working with that. It's called Believing Design. The bird floats, lifts off the canvas, transposed from a photo the artist took after finding the sparrow still in brush. She exposes its breast, resuscitates with brushes, breathes in and out, creates 9 kinds of feathers she knows by design. Its chest is an open oyster, fingernail, cloud, oval, egg, full moon, sunspot. It's the area around the pupil. She has learned which strokes, which hues faithfully coax the eye into believing impermanence of a kind. And this one is pretty simple. It's mainly a lyric poem or an imagistic poem that I love playing with images, which probably all poets do, but it's called Reading the Lake and was inspired by a couple of different lakes. And I was reading back over these and just thinking, at times I kind of interject a question in there where I'm kind of talking to myself in the poem. And I think I did this here specifically too, because I'm taking the walk by myself, and so not having another person. I think again this year I became more aware of that, of what those relationships mean. Reading the lake. The lake seems brailed, dozens of turtles' heads in braided water, like a hand brushing against a fabric's warp. Slight wind distorts. Imagine walking on words, on a teletype of turtles turned into alphabet. What am I trying to say? No one else is in sight. I toss bread on the surface, disrupt the message as the water bobbles with greedy mutters, phrase with arriving geese. As dark nears, the lake unwinds. The geese honk, a code for more. And where are we? Yeah. Then I thought I would read a couple of newer pieces, if that's okay. Okay. Continuing in the imagistic mode. At the salvaged farm and orchard near state lines, clouds flat and rectangular like barn rafters or railroad ties, these mountains darken, brighten, darken with the wind that comes and goes. The plaited daisy wildflowers blow in and out of focus. The wedding is in 3 hours at sunset. The monarchs glimmer like taffeta, rush from milkweed blossom to blossom. Clouds angle to ground or hold this scene. Orchard trees thread-like in the distance. And I've gotten where I love just playing with the words and all the different connotations they may have, but doing that also with just the images. So kind of both building upon each other. This one is taking a look at straw. And it's called Strewn. Straw boss, the straw that broke, sawdusted floor and scattered, rambling weeds and grass and moss, straw bale, the saying of the phrase, the tensile strength of it, between teeth, spool of gold, slick floss, Monet's textured haystacks that resemble road tunnels, suggest in shape the clang of an old cowbell, late frost and uneven weave as it melts, straw and actual bedding to hold the soil until spring. And I don't know, these are so fun to write because you really can become very imaginative. You don't really quite know what's going to pop in. Just a couple more. I was going to read a fairly old poem. Which again is very much about place. It's an imagistic poem that really focuses on a specific little scene. It's very domestic. And again, that's kind of interesting, and I wanted to kind of return to it. But again, this year, I think there have been many things about being domestic, and we've obviously spent much more time at home. And the idea of what home is, and again, our relationships. Just in this time, late winter light holds just for a moment along the length and sway of a horse's back in a field across the way, so that I see her as the handle of a ladle turn to dip as she plunges her head into rippling grass. I lose the image behind approaching darkness, choose to trace on our door's screen mesh my memory of her shape. I picture the lifting and shaking of her head and a whinny call that will bring back her hoarseness. I turn to walk toward a lighted handle that is the hall, the center of our home, and make no sound at all. And I guess I have one more. Is that okay? I love horses. this one also has imagery, but it also, it does tell a story, and it's also historical and is based somewhat on research. And it's just a very interesting story that was in National Geographic, and about actually kind of a feminist take on doing illuminated writings, and how that was done usually, almost always, or thought to be by a male. And somehow they found that females were actually doing it. And they discovered this because of the teeth. But that's what this is about. And I do like the idea of, kind of the feminist idea that a job that was thought to be a male's was done by a female. It's called Illuminated in Blue, and it has an epigraph: how this precious pigment wound up in the mouth of an 11th century German woman was more of a mystery. National Geographic, January 2019. Her teeth were clad in lapis, like an architectural palace, pigment ground pure and ultramarine, worth more than gold. Infinitesimal halted flow of intense blue, not to be confused with sapphire. Inclusions of golden pyrite flecks encased in 1,000-year-old tartar. This buildup of azure was prime and holy, like an inked sky that could speak, or the sweetest spot in the sea, many leagues under, or the rich hue of bright robin's egg blue in the Virgin Mary's mantle, shown in so many paintings. This scribe or painter, now known as B78, named for her grave, of the illumined, worked what was labeled a monk's job. Imagine she did not repeatedly kiss the medieval manuscript, popular years later, or ingest the lapis lazuli powder as medicine, but see her millennia later, how she used the highest level of skills, how she used her lips to shape the brush into the finest point.
That was gorgeous. Boy, what a great one to end on too. I have to just say, you know, a lot of us were commenting on, you know, the beauty that you bring to us. Like Terri's language is poetic. This is what Alan said, and precise. Her description of nature and art are exquisite. And I think that word exquisite is one that definitely resonates for a lot of us. And then of course, people are going, wonderful job. But I wanted to go back to, somebody said something perfect the way that she phrased it. I'm gonna see if I can find it. No. Yeah, I can't find it now, but it really, oh yes, there it is. So the precise imagery, and there's something this is it. She leads me like a blind person, makes me see so much more. Is what somebody wrote about your poetry, Terri. And I really have to agree. Yeah. Karen said, I was enchanted by the language and the sounds in these poems. I couldn't even comment in the chat. Yeah, you were really weirdly quiet, Karen. That's awesome though. And so was Laura. Yeah, so that's what y'all were feeling. We'll jump in, and I know we want to clap, so that if y'all want to unmute and let Terri hear our enthusiasm, because it'll be great to read the chat section, but we're right here right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terri.
Yay! Oh my gosh.
Yay, Terri.
So good.
Awesome.
Hey.
And I'll pull you out of the spotlight so you don't feel, you know,
Okay.
there you go. We'll go to gallery view so we can all see each other. I do want people to, feel encouraged to ask her questions, because, I have to say that it does make us think about process, and your imagistic poems in particular were just so visually and auditorily beautiful that it was hard to not just go along for that ride. I do also love how you like to play with words. There's a playfulness there and a philosophical kind of questioning. You have a very curious mind, and it was a joy to hear it at work. Melanie wrote, excellent, and so much fun to hear your spoken voice read your poems aloud. It added another beautiful layer to the mix. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
So we know you had a couple of ekphrastic poems, but I was curious, what do you sit down every day to write? What process works for you, or how do you find your way into poetry? What gets you started?
How? It goes really far back into, elementary school. I was very exposed to it, and of course, there were school assignments that I had, and my mom helped me with some of it, and then I was interested. So teachers also gave me positive feedback.
Wow.
And at the same time, I loved art. So the two really did feed into each other. I was really fortunate later to have different artists or poets in the schools come in and work with kids. And so I had that kind of exposure as well.
Okay.
So, I do feel very fortunate with all of that, but I also do think and I don't know why this is, and I guess as I get older, I do become even more aware of it, of just how important the senses are to me. They're just crucial. Sometimes I think people don't necessarily take full advantage of them, or they're not totally aware of sounds, touch, and the distinctions, and just the pleasure of all of it, and how it just, all of that totally informs your world. It's huge. So for some reason, I do feel like as I get older, that becomes even more important. And I find it, and especially touch, I've noticed really keeps coming up in poems. And literally I'll do that. I want to touch things. So, which I may have always done. I may not have been aware of it.
That bringing to consciousness the full, I kept thinking of the word embodiment as you were reading, that there was a real full sense of embodiment, a lived experience. And so I'm not surprised that's something that you see, because it's something that I, as a listener, experienced. In particular, I thought about the two birds side by side. There was something very embodied about that whole experience as well as you were reading. So it was lovely.
Oh.
So I'm going to make sure I haven't missed any questions. And if somebody has a question, feel free to jump in, because I could miss it if you put it in the chat section. Melanie was saying, but I hear heal like a salve. How you played with words again, that playing. That's lovely.
But it's so much fun to do that. I don't know, and to give yourself permission and just start playing with the language. I mean, that's why it all works together. I mean, the music, I mean, all of the art. So the more I think that you're exposed to all of it and really live that way, I mean, I think it totally changes you. And actually, well, the other is nature, being out in nature, I think, and truly experiencing it.
Mhm.
I also wanted to revisit what you said, Terri, about the courage to go ahead and publish this book, and how that you're hoping to encourage others. And that was something I very much felt from you, was that desire to, you know, to bring into life, into fruition this book, but that also to encourage other people to do things that that they may be a little hesitant to do, to encourage them to be brave, to grasp forward in their dream. So thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you. I was unsure at first. I mean, because there are so many things happening right now and so many things vying for our attention. It did kind of, I did have to finally, I think, find the courage to
Mhm.
risk someone not approving or the decision.
Yeah. Alan, jump in. Yeah, and jump in, people. Just go on in.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm Teresa. My name's not showing up here. I don't know how that works, but I just wanted to say that Terri is an incredible poet. I've known her for a long time, like 15 years, maybe. I don't know. We've been together in a writing group. But more than a poet and more than an artist, she is also a visual artist. She is also a teacher. And she has taught me so much over the years. And her encouragement for me and other poets in our group has helped us all so much. She sees things in such a different way, a very unique take on things. I mean, you might look at a handful of flowers and see they're yellow with green leaves, and she sees something totally different. She sees way into it. It's almost like she has this special eye that takes her down into the molecules almost of whatever this thing is that we're looking at. And she's able to share that. She's able to articulate that. And it is really so interesting. Just listening to her read tonight was so worth sitting here, and it brings tears to my eyes. I'm so proud that she's in our group, and she's had such an influence on me as a poet. Thank you, Terri.
Thank you, Teresa. That was lovely to hear.
Wait.
Yeah, and I think even people who don't have that relationship could see that ability to bring other people into a very unique vision. But well said, Teresa, because you're someone that knows her, you really found the right words. I thought your name says Alan, but I'm not sure that that's it, but it sounded like you wanted to say something, so please jump in.
No, I'm in the same writing group with Terri and Teresa, and I think I understand Terri on a different level after so many years. And Terri read a poem this week to us about shadows and her dog, and it's almost like somebody else didn't get it, and I was like, I totally got that. Like I think that your ability to look at visual images and then infuse that into poetry is really a gift. And I think that is kind of like, because you're a visual artist, and now that I know you've been writing poetry that long, I feel like now I get it. Like, I know why you're such a good poet, because you've been doing it a long time. So I'm with Teresa. I feel proud to know you. I can't even believe I'm in this group with you. So you're great here. And you did wonderful tonight. And I know you were nervous.
Yeah, you said you were nervous. So I was like, oh, we are going to have fun. This is a lovely
It
group.
didn't show. She takes
No.
command and she starts out. It's going. Yeah.
Hi, John. I noticed you're here. Hi, Joe. Now, I also wanted to make sure that people knew if you wanted to sign up for open mic. So far, I have no one signed up, and Karen, you were encouraging everybody, so we may have to start calling. Karen, you're raising your hand. You're willing.
I'll read it.
Awesome, John. Oh, and then Teresa and Heather. Yay, you guys are great. Laura, did I see a yes?
Come on, Laura.
You're okay.
I know you got one.
Yeah, Laura.
That's fantastic, guys. I did want to just say,
short
Terri,
one.
thank you so
One really
much
short
for
one.
entrusting us to celebrate the Buttes with tonight. It was lovely. I deeply appreciate it. And again, I wanted to remind people, if you don't already have the book, it is coming, Finishing Line Press. You can order it from there. But if you want a signature, an inscription, send Terri a message. And if you missed it, her email address is in the chat section. So we will move to open mic, and the first person I wrote down was Karen. I'm gonna come to you.
Okay. Oh, I got
And
to.
are you okay with me taping?
Can you not? I'm not really. I'm not really sure.
And I just want to say, if anyone knows me and knows the past, like what happened to me a month ago, this poem was written before that event, so it's not like written in sadness. You'll see. The next owner. Come home to the shape of a dog lying on the couch, cushions bruised. The weight from years of friendship now come at you in the form of nothingness. The mutt buried under the tree, a grave reminder, by chance will probably be cut down and the stump will rot. No one will know that sleeping there, crafting the dirt, are bones. And that's that poem.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
This was written before that incident.
I was going to ask you, so that was, wow.
Yeah. I wrote one poem. I've written one poem about that. And literally, I've only written one poem in a month. And I went to read it once and couldn't finish it. And so I don't attempt to read it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, because I know, sometimes those poems are still so hot with grief. So, I can understand starting to read it and then realizing it's too soon. Thank you, John, for reading. And of course, you ended with, and that's that poem. So you made Karen's night, because, she counts on you to say that every time.
And I just want to say to Terri, I'm sorry I'm late. I haven't been here in a few weeks. And for some odd reason, I thought it started at 7 and it starts at 6 my time. So I did get to catch some of your poems, but I wasn't here for all of them, so I'm sorry. But the poems I did get to hear, I loved.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up with the time, changes. I always have to use the little translator. Teresa, I'm coming towards you, and I think I will have the right person when I do it this way. And if you don't want me to tape it, just let me know and I will pause.
No, that's fine. Okay. Good. I really was thinking I wouldn't read tonight, and I was in a hurry, but I got all tied up in this, and I'm like, this is very cool. Learning how to do this is, is so out of the norm, and you have to practice, I think, with other people. This is just so strange, but it starts working after a while, and it's so much better than not having the ability to do it at all. So anyway, I'm going to read an old poem from my book, Breaking Commandments, that Terri helped me with. Long ago, I forget when this was published, but she's the one that encouraged me to publish a chapbook. And I didn't think that I really had it in me to do it. I didn't think I was good enough. We always think we're not good enough. What we're writing is not good enough. But she was there for me and said, no, Teresa, you can do this. And she helped me figure out the order, and really she could look at my poems and understand them better than I even understood them myself. I'm like, God, that's why I wrote that. Yeah. So she's that good. This is called Race for the Moon. This goes back to a memory from elementary school. A girl that I went to school with who was blind, and I've never forgotten her ever. So Race for the Moon. Big for 5th grade, muscular, busty, and blind. Kathy sat back at a low table holding her steel gray Perkins Brailer and a stylus and slate, pressing paper to pits, creating a cryptic maze of Coptic dots. It was whispered that Kathy had started the first of us, and her mystique deepened as we took turns as escort to the bathroom stall. Silent sentinels listening to the rustle of tissue, the scuffing of saddle Oxfords on tile, wondering what mysteries were working within such confines, small as a space capsule. Kathy at the controls of a one-woman voyage. She, our explorer, we, her Houston. Roger that. When CBS talked us through Apollo 8's lunar flight, Kathy had no need for sight. Fingertips tactile, curved as corneas, she tapped away at the Brailer's keys, capturing Cronkite's illustrious words, rolling out her own constellations, whole lunar landscapes, colorless and craggy, leaving us all covered in a fine layer of her afterburners rushing dust.
Wow.
Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Oh,
Thank
the
you.
details, those were amazing. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
reading. I'm glad you felt comfortable with us to do so.
That was fun.
Yeah, you did wonderful. I'm heading towards Heather.
Can I say something real fast?
Hi.
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 Yay.
I didn't know that there would be recording tonight, so
I can pause it.
oh no, I'm just no makeup, you know, a little bit of gray hair, you know.
You look gorgeous. You kidding? That's a beautiful head of hair.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's just not being able to go out to get it cut. So actually Terri and I have been published in a lot of things together, mainly in the Cackalack anthologies. And I just got mine yesterday, and Terri is in it too. And this that's the Cackalack.
We got 2 others here too.
Oh, so there's
Okay.
4 people to that's awesome.
So I just figured I'd read my poem from the new Cackalack. It's called Dear April. In the early hours of your final day, you bring me the gift of a large blue snail sleeping inside his spiraled home. In the afternoon, you open magnolias above my head. As they burst, they drop their stamens all around me. I do not think I am prepared to let this part of you go. Tonight, may we drink wine together and speak of all the creations we shaped and molded in our 30 days. Let us say our farewells right before midnight as I enter my bed without you. A new lover is coming at dawn, and I must be ready to greet him.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on having that published. That Cackalack cover for this new Cackalack is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry just wrote, what a great reading, so moving.
Aw, thank
And I
you.
think how many people, there was quite a few people, raise your hand if you were in this Cackalack 2020, because I think there were several, right? Yay, look at you guys.
Whoa.
That's 4. Congratulations. Our last reader who has volunteered is Laura, so I'm headed your way, Miss Laura.
Oh,
There we go.
fantastic. Can you hear me? Okay,
You're
we're all
good.
good. Okay,
Yep.
well, I'm going to take a page out of that last reader's book by reading my Cackalack poem, because I had something that I was going to read, but it's really not polished enough for me yet, and I need to work on it. And since this is published, you can leave it recording. This poem is called November. Today, the trees are dancing. Bare limbs sway in wind. Brown leaves pile at their feet. Discarded, ragged clothes. Bare limbs sway in wind, and the old man wanders by in discarded, ragged clothes. Gnarled gray limbs like trees. And the old man wanders by. His cane taps out a rhythm. Gnarled gray limbs like trees. Scrape and tap to the raven's call. His cane taps out a rhythm on the trees. Brown leaves piled at their feet. Scrape and tap to the raven's call. Today, the trees are dancing.
Oh, Laura.
Beautiful.
Yay. Oh, that was gorgeous. November's
I
one of my
attempted a
favorite months.
pantoum.
Yeah, fantastic. That's awesome. Have deep admiration for that. Well, thank y'all so very much. It's been an amazing evening, and I'm going to the gallery view so we can all see each other.
And may I say something real fast?
Sure, John, jump in.
So I have a monthly Zoom reading now, and I just wanted to say everyone should come watch Malaika read for the January 10th reading, because she's involved.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
Thanks,
I don't
John.
mean, you're welcome. But yeah,
Good
so
Ooh,
you
that's
get to hear
Sunday.
her read, because she never reads on here when she hosts.
No,
So
John,
I like to stay
Sometimes.
focused.
John, can you put a link in the chat for us?
yeah, I sure can.
And Melanie just wrote, splendid, everyone. Fabulous. Thank you so much for a wonderful Thursday evening. It was amazing to have so many people read for open mic. And I totally understand if people wanted to not read, that's okay too. And Terry, you were fabulous. I've been looking forward to this. Congratulations on the buttes. And it was a joy to hear your take on things, your musicality, and just the beautiful imagery that was so, again, I want to say that word, embodied. It to me felt, very full. The reading event is on there, so you can go ahead and click it quick because when I end it, it'll be harder to get to it. Terry, I will send you the link to this